Well, welcome to the Stone Roadie podcast. It's the one you don't want to miss. It stars Craig Reed, the Stone Roadie, and Griff, the rocket scientist. Let's not forget Kathy GODSEY and all the old friends that come along. Lord, we'll be talking Skynyrd and leaving you with a song.
Podcast 81, action. Alrighty. And welcome again to the 81st edition of the Stoned Roadie Show. And I'm your host, Craig Reed, aka the Stoned Roadie, and looky here. It's our return appearance of our occasional co-host, the lovely Kathy GODSEY. So take it away, Kathy GODSEY.
Hey, Craig, it's so nice to see you again and be back. Wasn't really an absence. I just, was here a couple of weeks ago, but I'm so glad to be back doing another Saturday night special with not only the most famous Stone Roadie, but the world's most famous Stone Roadie, right? So this is a Saturday night special with Craig and Kathy. All these titles that we've assigned to it. So glad to be back. Anyway, I've got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. Oh man, I got emails, shout outs, show and tell. I'm going to talk about a really cool guest that I'm going to have on in the next Saturday night special. You guys are going to love her. A lot of stuff to do. So you want to start it? I'm going to start out by doing the shout outs, Craig.
Let me just start off by explaining my wall back here this week on my green screen with my P.O. Box 442, Green, Ohio 44232, and our top donators. Boy, did I get a surprise this morning when I went to my P.O. Box and got a donation from Angela Lynyrd for $500. Boy, that was generous. There you go. Quite generous. That's what I wrote her, and I asked her if she wanted to be specific on who she wanted that to go to, and she said no, just whoever we deemed it be necessary. And then here a couple of days ago, my buddy Automotive donated a couple $100. And Automotive, some people see him with me whenever we go on the road. You'll see him. Some people say he's my handler. And then here last week, we had a donation from my buddy Steve Etheridge from from the Murphy's Law band. Yeah, he insisted he give me a donation a couple weeks ago when I went to see him. And then Jerry Birksey, he's the one that started this whole thing. Well, he didn't really start it all. I had a lot of people wanting to help, do a little extra besides what I wanted to do with this and just kind of fund this thing through subscriptions. But I finally got my subscriptions to go through, and we got monetized, and I finally started to get paid. So with this $500 that Angela sent to me, I'm going to go ahead and send that to Paul Welsh. I think would be the next person on the list. And then, we already sent Mark Howard $500, and that money came from the funeral brochure that I sold from Gary Rossington. We sent that to Paul Welsh, and then this what Angela Lynyrd sent us $500. We're going to send that to Paul Welsh, and then the money that Automotive gave us $200, and Steve Etheridge gave us $100, and Jerry Birksey gave us $100, and we're going to pull $100 out of the fund from YouTube that's paid us, and we're going to go ahead and send Mark Frank $500. So Mark Frank and Paul Welsh, both of you got $500 coming from the Survivor Fund. You know,
Yay, very nice.
we wish we could do more, but you know, we got that. My son Chad's got that Survivor thing going on down in Jacksonville on the 29th, and all the proceeds of that going to go for the survivors. So we hope to be able to finish off the other two people that we want to support, and plus send a lot more money to all five of them, and you know, give them a little substantial fund if we can to really help out, you know. But anything helps. So you know, anybody wants to, you know, contribute a little more than we're going to get from the subscriptions, just send it to Craig Reed, P.O. Box 442, Green, Ohio 44232. And yeah, that's about all for that this week. But we really appreciate anything anybody wants to do to help out our support to the forgotten survivors. We sure really appreciate it. I'm a little bit tongue-tied today. So, all right, Kathy GODSEY, let's get to the skin formation that everybody wants to know here on the STONED Roadie Show.
I thank you, Craig. I have to tell you, I've been bombarded with emails, text messages, instant messages with all kinds of questions and things. And last night, I kind of went through all the sources and just copied and pasted everything onto a document. I think I got all of the people. Some people just send me just paragraphs and paragraphs of stuff. And I'm like, what do you want me to ask? You know, but anyway, I'll do my best. And it's just so nice that people show the interest. And as you know, from my very first podcast, as a guest, I wanted to address the questions that people are asking. I think that's really important. So first of all, I just want to give shout outs to some of the new names that I've heard, people who are really supportive and have sent me emails, starting with Brian Schlemmer, Paul Zella. There's a Bob from the Street Survivors Band. Now, his band is going to be playing in New Jersey in August, and they wanted me to come to see them. So, hey, yeah, I got it on the calendar. I'll go definitely check out you guys. Nicholas Chiselka, Mark Kendrick, Brian Dugas, John Pavlovsky, Joe Muller, Derek Collins, Joey Yema. Big supporters. And as we know, Brian Gibbons, he keeps losing more and more weight. Every time I see a picture of him, he looks thinner. So God bless him. Brent Mead, Jerry Birchie, John Pleskin, Chip Cruey, Joey Yema, good friend, Jeff Goodridge. And don't forget Wayne Roberts. Wayne Roberts has that the Waning Interest podcast. And last time we talked about him, he mentioned Skynyrd and the Forgotten Survivors, and he was really happy that I gave him a shout out. He gave us a shout out. He mentioned on the Waning Interest podcast on episode 113, he also mentioned Skynyrd again and the STONED Roadie Show. I want to give a happy birthday to Josh Wiener and Brian Williams. Their podcast, they watch the podcast. They love the podcast. They had birthdays this week. Okay. And then enough of the shout outs, but I did want to mention something. People have been asking about different guests that have appeared on previous shows. I think you and Griff mentioned that on the last podcast. If anybody's interested in seeing a particular show that had a particular guest, the New Year's Eve show that Craig and I did, podcast 51, on that show, we reviewed all the guests from podcasts 1 through 50. So if anybody wants to look for a particular guest or wants to see who was on what, look at that show, because we went through a nice detailed listing of all the people who've been on the podcast. I do want to mention Larry Joe Lambert. Now, Larry Joe, he's a blind musician. He is extremely gifted. He's a singer, songwriter, guitar player, plays jazz, blues, bluegrass, rock, folk, country. When he was a teenager, he was playing baseball, and he started losing his sight. Turned out he had a tumor on his brain. He lost 95% of his vision. The guy is really talented and has a lot of YouTube videos. His channel's called Larry Joe Lambert. He's reached out to me. He's also reached out to Griff. And Griff had said that he was going to talk to you, Craig, about having him on the podcast. I think that would be really nice. I think, he was really appreciative of having, us talk about him a little, just give him a little shout out. So that's Larry Joe Lambert.
Yeah, he's also sent me some stuff that he's recorded. Yeah, he's a real cool guy, man. Yeah, we're gonna have him on. Yeah, he's a real cool guy.
He's very, very
I
appreciative.
appreciate his enthusiasm. He's
yes.
wanted to know if he wanted to write another theme song for the STONED Roadie show. Time to have at it.
Yeah, he has a severe handicap and he really just keeps plugging away. And he mentioned on his Facebook page the other day that he has a gig in Jacksonville coming up. So I'm really happy for him. And I'm really happy for that. He has such a challenge that he has to live with every day, but he just doesn't give up. And I support that kind of perseverance. So today, I mentioned I'm really excited. I'm going to be getting a special guest coming up on hopefully the next Saturday night special. This woman's name is Beulah. They called her Beulah. Her name is Barbara Beulah Carter. She was the woman who was at Alan Collins's house the day I went and met him in 1980. She was there. I was so jealous because she was hanging out with them and a good friend of theirs. And I was like, how do I get to be a good friend of Alan's? But she was a very good friend of theirs. Alan referred to her as Beulah. That's what they called her. She remembers you very well. She knew Alan and Kathy very well. This woman is from Long Island. She wound up going down there with her husband. Her husband said to her, how would you like to take scuba diving lessons? Went down to Alan's house and she learned how to scuba dive in his pool. But she was very close to Kathy and Alan, very close. She's got some great stories and a lot of stuff that she's going to talk about. So she just has to get a little computer and then she'll be very happy to come up on one of the next upcoming Saturday night special shows. So maybe when we have her on the show, you can use that picture as a backdrop, the picture that she's in that I took at Alan's house. But I think she's going to be a really interesting guest. She has all the information about Alan and Kathy. All right. So I'm looking forward to that. So I do want to do some show and tell. And the first thing I want to talk about before we get to these questions is Paul Connolly. Now, the last show, I had a box of stuff that was sent to me by a gentleman who called himself the Skynyrd Whisperer. Well, he didn't want to be identified, but he actually just appeared on Wednesday's podcast. Griff actually went to his home, and he's the gentleman who welcomed Griff into his home, and he showed him all that stuff. He went to the site, and he digs up stuff. So actually, he said I can mention his name. He's Paul Connolly. He's the gentleman who sent me all that stuff that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, and he sent me another envelope of stuff shortly thereafter that. I'm just going to show everybody what he sent me. I'm really, really excited to show this and share this with everyone. So he wrote a letter and he calls me Special K. He says, what's up, Special K? What's up, kid? It was nice talking to you on the phone. Great job on the podcast. You and Craig are getting more refined each week. See that, Craig? We're getting more refined each week. Love to hear that. By the way, the Confederate flag stands for Southern pride. Don't be influenced by the liberals. They're weak. Oh, I know it's Southern pride. I know that. He put more stickers all over the letters he sends me, all these Confederate stickers. We'll have a couple more for your Skynyrd, for your Skynyrd collection. Anyway, this is what he sent me. Let's start with the first one. Billy Powell and Bob Burns. Shoot, I had them in order before. I hope they're not out of order. Okay. I had them all in order. Okay, here we go. First one. This is a picture of Billy Powell and Bob Burns, signed 8x10 with signature of Bob Burns.
I took that picture.
Okay. And the story, do you remember the story behind this, Craig?
Yeah, they got in a fight. They got in a fight, and that's why they're holding up their fists. And I took a picture of them right after they made up after getting in a fight. Yeah, I took that picture.
That's what he says in the letter. He said the band was traveling to a show. Leon was shooting spitballs into Billy's briar patch hair. Billy turned around and saw Bob Burns directly behind him, thinking it was Bob who was doing that, not Leon. They started cursing each other, and Ronnie ordered the van to stop and they could get out and fight. After Billy took a quick beating, Ronnie made them make up and take a picture. Notice the blemishes and scratches on their face. This was an everyday occurrence with these guys. Okay, number 2, Craig's picture. Oh, I love this picture. This is from Craig's photo collection.
I took that picture too.
I know.
At the Hell House, yeah.
Alan and Ronnie taking a break inside Hell House.
The RC Cola bottle.
Oh, yeah, cool.
The myrrh bottle. And that the skull and crossbones sticker up there on the wall.
All right, and then we have Artemis Pyle's recollection of the plane crash letter signed by Artie, titled "A Thumbnail Sketch of Tragedy," which is this. I can always take pictures of these and put these on the your page or my Facebook page if anybody wants to look at them. Okay. And then 2 different signed 8x10s of Artemis and Bob Burns playing together for the first time on the Rock Legends cruise in 2013. This is one picture. And the other picture is right here. Hope you can see these clearly. Can you see these clearly?
Yeah, we can see them good. Yeah.
Probably a glare. Okay. Also, a Skynyrd photo by Artemis Pyle of the band playing live early 1977 tour. It's autographed. Okay. Artemis Pyle's signed, typed lyrics to Sweet Home Alabama with his signature on it. Okay. And then this is a piece of the carpet liner from the Convair prop 2240 jet that crashed into the woods. It comes with a comprehensive certificate of authenticity by local unsung hero, Dwayne Easley. Dwayne was the first person to enter the plane and lead the rescue effort that night, saving 20 lives. He also donated his family land to erect the Lynyrd Skynyrd Monument in Gillsburg, Magnolia. He is quite a man with a beautiful heart, a true American hero. And number 8, a poem written by compassionate historian Gene Odom with his signature, Love Gene, titled Cold Dark Mississippi Night, signed and dated by Gene. Okay. It beautifully captures the never talked about communal effort of all the local responders led by Dwayne Easley on that night. Okay, that's this. I can always put these on Facebook if anybody wants to see them. And then an iconic image of Artemis Pyle as he sits overlooking the graveside of his beloved brother, Ronnie Van Zant, at Gary Rossington's funeral. This picture needs no words. This says everything you've ever needed to know about the beautiful heart of my little brother, Artemis. It is the most iconic shot I've ever witnessed. That's all for now. Stay strong. Peace. Paul Conley. So that was really nice that he's been sending these things, and I'll treasure them forever. Then before we go on to the questions, I have a little bit of show and tell myself. Now, somebody had asked about the a song, I've Been Your Fool. That's one of the questions. They said, Kenneth Hajar said, I can't find I've Been Your Fool on iTunes. Well, it's not on iTunes, unfortunately. It's on this album, the Best of the Rest album. This is a great album. I'm so glad I have this. And Gotta Go, I'm a Country Boy, Double Trouble, Working for MCA, Call Me the Breeze, I Never Dreamed, and T for Texas are all on this. So if you're lucky to get this album or have this, this is where you're going to find I've Been Your Fool, where Ronnie does all the yodeling. It's a great, great song. And Craig, you've sung this song before. Yeah,
Oh,
sing a little bit.
that's one of my favorites. Yeah, I've been your
Come
fool.
on, do a little
I've
bit.
been your fool. Oh, ever since, baby, I met you.
Yeah. So that's where the song is. Also, I found this album and I was looking through my closet for the I've Been Your Fool song. I found this album, Legend. I didn't even know I had this. Are you familiar with this record, Greg?
Yeah.
Oh, this has Georgia Peaches. You've got Good Friends, Take Your Time, Truck Driving Man. This is a great one. I don't know that this is on iTunes either. Great album. So I'm really happy to have. And also another thing I found for show and tell, I bought this in New York City at the Rock and Roll Flea Market. It's not for resale. It was a bootleg, obviously. Special preview from One More from the Road. And I never even took this out of the sleeve. It's brand new. Have you ever seen this one?
I think I have, but I'm not real familiar with it. No.
All right, cool. I'm glad to have them. While I was going through my closet looking for these things, the last thing I want to show today is this camera. This is the camera that I found in my closet that I used when I went to Alan's house in 1980. This was the camera I used. And, you have to manually open and close the lens, and it gets stuck sometimes. So this is what happened when Alan agreed to let me take his picture. And I forgot to open the lens. And he was getting a little frustrated with me. And he said, hurry up while I still say yes. Because it's a little challenging, but this little camera, this Minolta, takes 110 film with a telephoto lens. This is the one that took those photos. And of course I have, because I save everything. So that's enough of the show and tell for me and for Paul, but it's really cool getting all this stuff together. And I'm sure when Barbara Bulow comes on the show, she will also have a lot of memories and maybe bring some stuff to show us from her friendship with Alan. Okay, so let's go down through the questions. The first question, when I was talking to Barbara Bulow this morning, she said, ask Craig, whatever happened to Teresa Gaines? She passed away, but do you know why?
I did know, but I forget.
All right.
I'm not real sure what that situation was.
I wasn't aware that she passed away. It was apparently about 7 years.
Yeah, that was totally unexpected to me too. I didn't know she had any problem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. We can maybe check that out.
She was very healthy. I thought she was very healthy. No, I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go to the questions then. The first question is from somebody who goes by the name of New Star Recording Studio. This has to do with the amps that they used. Did Gary and Alan always use PV amps, or did they use Marshalls or anything else?
Oh, they both used Marshalls. At one time, Gary used a high watt. And then there was a time when their stage volume was really outrageous, and they all tried to use Fender Twins to try to bring the stage volume down. And then right after that, we got the PV endorsement and switched to PV, and we got all PV gear. And they were real happy with PV gear. They didn't use it because it was free. They were really happy with it, but we got really good customer service from PV. I went there several times and had them tweak those amps and stuff to make them perform,
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Okay, their New Star Recording Studio. There's your answer. This question is from Scott Peetman. When the Tributes tour started, the Rossington Collins band, the Rossington band opened for Skynyrd. Gary and Dale played in both. Were you the roadie for both of those bands at the time?
No.
Skynyrd? Okay.
No, just Lynyrd Skynyrd, yeah.
Okay. But not for the Rossington band?
No, no, he had a whole nother road crew with that band. Matter of fact, Paul Abraham was part of the Rossington band crew, and so was I think Mike Lewis too. I think was part of that.
Okay. Okay. All right. This is from Mark Reagan. Alan, I noticed this about Alan too. He said, "Do you know why Alan, on some of his performances when he was wearing long sleeve shirts, why he had one sleeve rolled up and the other sleeve rolled down?
No.
Was it just comfort? Because when you had short sleeves, that's one thing, but long sleeves, a lot of time there was one up, one down. I was just wondering if it just helped him with the guitar strings or holding the guitar or
Yeah,
anything
that
like that."
might have been something to do with playing. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. Joey Yema. Joey's first concert was in 1976 in Richmond, Virginia at the Coliseum. He recalls a guy in a wheelchair being lifted up on stage. He wants to know if you were there, if you recall that, and why that was done.
Yeah, I remember that whole situation, and it was probably done because Ronnie told us to do it, and the people are still talking about it. I remember, the guy that people lifted the guy up and off the floor, and Ronnie said, just lift him on up here. So we went out and helped him help the guy roll up on stage, and it's just something people are still talking about.
That was a real act of kindness and something really nice to do. I'm sure that man made his whole night.
Something that happened in the spur of the moment. It was there to happen. So Ronnie saw the opportunity and made it happen.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right, so there you go, Joey. Okay, this question is from Jeff Goodrich. Did Greg Allman ever express interest in starting a band with Alan and Gary?
No, but Gary and Alan expressed interest in having Greg be their singer, but then Greg kind of wanted to they wanted it to be the Greg Allman band or whatever, and so they thought about it. Gary and Alan wanted Greg to come on and sing, but they didn't want to give him all the naming rights or whatever, and they wanted Paul Rogers too, and I think everybody knows that Paul said that Gary and Paul became friends because of that association. That Gary wanted Paul to sing, and I think at one point Paul would have, but he had other contractual obligations.
So this was prior to the formation of the Rossington Collins band.
Before they decided to take Dale on, they were trying to find another male vocalist.
Okay.
They went through Greg and Paul Rogers and Lou Graham from Foreigner, and a lot of a few other people like that. But
they weren't initially looking for a female. They were initially looking for a male. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were looking for someone that didn't compare to Ronnie. Somebody that was not Ronnie.
Yeah.
They didn't want to find somebody that just came in there and emulated Ronnie. They wanted somebody with a whole new atmosphere or whatever. What do you want to call it?
Right. That makes sense. Do you know whether Gallon and Harry ever
Golly.
That's because we're doing a podcast. Do you know whether Alan and Gary ever jammed with Greg or played with him at all, or
I was never around when they did, they might have just, I don't really recollect ever them being on stage together and really jamming. No.
I would have loved to have seen it. Imagine if they had gotten together, it would have been the Allman Rossington Collins band, or how could they have done that one? Collins and Company. Who knows? That would have been pretty cool, because I love Greg Allman. My God, that would have been amazing to see those guys together. All right. And then, okay, so my friend Mike Schmidt from Cranford. Hey, Mike. Like Doug and Mike from Cranford. He pointed out something to me. He said, "Do you know that Ed King and Steve Gaines were both born on September 14th, 1949? They're born in the exact same day. That's crazy.
I had heard that. Yeah.
Oh my God. But anyway, there's a YouTube channel called Marty Music. I was listening to this interview last night. It was really good. Marty Music is the channel. And this Marty, he did a podcast or a video called Marty's Guitar Tours. And it was with Ed King. It was called the Ed King's Guitar Collection. It was an interview with Ed King. It was one of the greatest interviews. Ed was just so down to earth and just so straight with everything. He talked about how he joined Lynyrd Skynyrd, his relationship with Ronnie, why he left after the show in Pittsburgh, exactly how it went down. It was a really great interview. I just loved it. He was just so, down to earth and honest about everything. If anybody wants to learn more about Ed King, check that out. He also mentioned that he used to live in New Jersey at one point. I wasn't aware of that. And then, he used to go to, from New Jersey, that he went to a place in Delaware called Assateague Island, and he used to pick up seashells that he used to use as picks. And there's a certain kind of seashell that is really great. He loves those. He loved to use those as guitar picks. So next time I go to the Jersey Shore, I'm going to have to look and see if I can find any of those. Joey Edwards wants some. I said if I find some, I'll mail them to him. But the question from Mike was, were you aware of any tension between Ed and the band, particularly toward the end of Ed's reign, before he left? Was there anything particular that was happening that was really obvious to you?
Not necessarily really obvious. There was kind of always, I don't know, a little bit of underlying tension between Ed and Ronnie. I'm not exactly sure why, but it was kind of there. I don't know. I don't know. I think Ed felt it too, but it wasn't really outrageous. But the only guitar player Ronnie didn't really mess with was Alan. Ronnie never messed with Alan. Alan was kind of Ronnie's go-to guy. He didn't really mess with Alan.
What do you think that is?
I don't know. I think Ronnie thought if he messed with Alan too much, Alan would just quit and go on his own. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
There was that rumor that one time that when Ed quit, Alan quit too. So because he was sick of the bullshit too. So Alan could have picked up and went on his own. I mean, it wouldn't have been hard.
Definitely. And Ed was in that interview. Ed was also talking about how many hours they spent filming that first pronounced album cover. How many hours they spent just trying to get a shot, and the actual shot that they used was there was a lightning up in the sky, and the lightning bolt was right behind Ed, and it looked like it went right into his head, and that was the picture that they used for the album cover.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, he said there was just a clash between, he said he pretty much, they rehearsed, which was fine. But on stage, there was a lot of antics and other things that happened. So he just wasn't into it. Okay. So that answers that question. Now, on the video of the airplane that we've seen, there was a German Shepherd. Jack asked us, what's the name of that German Shepherd that is on the airplane video? Do you know who owns it?
The name of the German Shepherd was Zappa. And I'm not exactly sure who owned it, but it had to do with Artemis. I think it was either Artemis's dog or somebody our Artemis knew. You notice I put up this. Oh, I just all my stuff's in the way. I wanted to show you this pic. We were talking about pictures that were taken, and Gene talks about when they took this picture here, they had to take it so many times, and that was a live shot, and those are real flames, and they had to take it several times, and every time they turned that flame up, Gary would flinch. So
you can see that
they finally got one where Gary didn't, when they'd go and hit the flame, and Gary would go like this. So they finally got one where Gary didn't freak out. So that was the picture from that one. But
Alan doesn't look affected at all.
No, he did. Yeah, but every time they would hit that, hit that bottle and shoot those flames out, Gary would go.
Oh my God.
So yeah, they finally got one where everybody just stood there. But when you were talking about the one with the lightning bolt, that one, Gary was about to throw up. He was sitting there and he looks like he was going to throw up. He was really sick. And yeah.
That's what Ed said. Ed said Gary was really hungover.
Yeah,
that day.
He was about to puke we're sitting on the sidewalk, and they had a hard time finding a picture.
People have gone back to that. I've seen people go back and take pictures of themselves there with what it looks like today, that exact spot. Pretty cool. Yeah. But that YouTube video with Ed was really interesting. I enjoyed it. I recommend anybody who has time to go check that out.
Ed did a bunch of really cool videos with people on playing guitar. Yeah, it was pretty cool. He did all those. I mean, he did a lot of instructional videos where he actually showed how to play all those parts. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, also in that video, he was saying that Gary was in a room and Gary was playing some of the chords to Sweet Home Alabama. He was just doing his portion, and then Ed just came up with his little thing, and then they just put them together, and that was the birth of Sweet Home Alabama. It was just beautiful how that.
Yeah, it was at the Hell House, and yeah, Ed was walking in with this new Stratocaster he had just got, and Gary Gary was just playing this little riff, and Ronnie kept going, like this, and Ed walked in and just kind of started playing some fills with that riff Gary was playing, and voila, But I think I've said before, I always hated Sweet Home Alabama. They were recording that song. I was going, that is the hokiest damn song I've ever heard. Sweet Home Alabama, diddle-diddle-dee, where the skies are so blue. Boo-hoo-hoo, sweet home Alabama. Lord, I'm coming home to you. In Birmingham, they love the governor. I just thought that was so hokey. Why are you doing that song? Oh, well.
And a lot of times people think as soon as they hear Lynyrd Skynyrd, oh yeah, Sweet Home Alabama. No, there was so much more than Sweet Home Alabama.
But the band knew right off it was going to be a hit. Alan and all of them knew that's a hit. And I'm going, where?
Yeah. Well, Alan's father was from Alabama, but who else was from Alabama? Anybody? Anybody from Alabama, or they're just referring to it?
No, well, Alabama, that's where when they won that recording contract deal, when they did the Battle of the Bands in Jacksonville, they won a recording deal at Muscle Shoals, and they went there, and that's kind of where Jimmy Johnson kind of took them and showed them, you know, some things they didn't know, you know, and it was kind of like, you know, it was like they, you know, a kind of a learning process for them. So
Oh, cool.
you know.
All right. So that justified a song. Cool. All right. Well, it's a big hit, definitely. All right. Herb Grauxer. Not sure how that's pronounced. He wants to know, what do you and other roadies, any that you know, what are your thoughts on Jackson Brown's song, The Loadout, where he says, now the seats are all empty, let the roadies take the stage. What is your thoughts on that?
It's just a song. I
Did you
never
like
really
that
paid
song?
attention. I'm
No?
not really. I'm not a Jackson Brown fan at all.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just another song, you know. I mean, song about roadies. I don't know. I don't
All
think
right.
anybody really pays much attention to it, you know.
Well, one of Ronnie's favorite songs was "These Days." That was written by Jackson Brown. "These Days." He loved that song.
Yeah.
Do you remember that the incident in Tokyo with the hat incident, as recalled by Cameron Crowe, after that whole thing went down with the Japanese people, the cops
Mhm.
came and somebody took Ronnie's hat, and that's also on YouTube. Ronnie just retrieved his hat, put it on his head, and started walking out slowly, singing, "Now I'll keep on walking." Yeah, whatever the words are
Well,
to
I've been
these
out
days.
walking. I
Right.
don't do much talking these days, you know.
Right. But he
I've
just
been
walked out and
out
sang that song.
walking. I don't do much talking these days. Yeah, yeah, I remember that whole thing. All that wasn't really a big deal to me, but boy, it sure has stuck with people for 50 years.
Yeah.
It was
Somebody
just
wrote in.
another one of those getting thrown out of a bar scenes to me.
Yeah.
We left rather quickly out of that one, from what I remember.
Yeah. I love that video. By the
I
way,
was kind of doing my own thing, you know, with some Japanese girls. You know, I wasn't paying much attention.
I wish we had video of that whole thing. Somebody asked me to show my cats. They said, "We love your cats." Well, this is Storm. She's not happy about being here. Go ahead, Storm. But I
That's
just
the
grabbed her.
little one.
No, she's about 19 pounds. I have hair on my face. Oh goodness. Sorry about that. All right. So anyway, the next question was from MYT. Now they don't put their name on here, so I don't know who you are. It's MYT 3904. What's up with Craig's films he has? No one has seen of Skynyrd. What's going on with those films, Craig?
Oh, I have to go down to a place where I had those films taken from the actual film and put it on DVD, and I was gonna go down and put my voice on, go down and look at the film, and then put a vocal track down onto the DVD, and kind of, because they're silent movies, they're just home movies, so there's no soundtrack. So I was just gonna go down and kind of narrate the film, and just kind of like do a narration of the thing while it's playing. And I was talking to the guy about it, and he said, "Well, you know, DVDs are kind of like out like high button shoes these days. You know," he said the thing to do would be to put it in a format where you could stream it, and then put it somewhere where people could rent it, you know, for like $4.95 for 3 days or whatever. And so that's what I need to do. I just need to go down and take he's got files of it down there, but my buddy Automotive, he said he's got the equipment, and I've got this microphone and stuff, so he said we can just do it right here in the STONED Roadie studio. Just put down just watch the DVD, and I can put a vocal track down to it. But then it's still got to be put into a format where it could be streamed, and I don't know that whole process, so yeah, it's just I'll probably do it sometime this year and release it sometime beginning of next year or something like that, and just make it so it's streamable. Yeah, there's still there's only been about 35 minutes or 40 up to about 45 minutes of my film that have actually been shown on documentaries or whatever, that I've leased them out, and I've got about an hour and a half of stuff, so there's still about an hour of stuff that hasn't been seen. They've seen little clips and stuff of some of it, but there's still quite a bit of it that hasn't been seen. And then there's stuff that I never had put on never put on DVD. There's a thing of me where Dean and I went to the Lambton Castles, and we stayed with Lady Lambton, and we went there and spent the night at this haunted castle. I have a thing of that, and I have a couple other things that I haven't transposed yet, so that'll be all new.
Well, we want to see that
me
stuff.
and Dean went to that Lambton Castle. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know you talked about that in one of the other podcasts. Tell everybody who hasn't seen that what that was like there. There were lions or something, right? Were there lions?
Well, the Lambtons, they had their royalty in England, Lord Lambton, and her name was Lady Lambton. Her dad is Lord Lambton, and Dean met up with her somehow and became friends with her, and then we all went to the one castle that was a lion reserve, and then that's where we had the incidents with the lions, and that's where the painting Red Boy is hanging, or Red Boy or Blue Boy. I get them mixed up, but one of those I think might be Blue Boy, and that's actually Lord Lambton's great grandfather or something. The kid in Blue Boy or Red Boy, one of the other two. But yeah, Dean and I went and stayed at one of the other castles with Lady Lambton. That was pretty cool. Spent the night.
And you have that on footage. You have some of that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, we want to see that stuff, Craig. You got to work on that. I know that all these things you're doing with the all the contributions and donations are taking time, but we want to see these films. I'm sure people would pay money.
There's a lot of things I need to do. I was telling Griff I have the largest hotel key collection in the world, and he told me to go up in the attic and find it. He wanted to show it on the last STONED Roadie show. I can't find them. I have a laundry bag from Japan that's full of hotel keys, and the old ones. Hotels don't give keys away anymore. So.
Yeah, the plastic, right? The key hanging on the plastic thing, the keychain thing. I remember those.
Yeah, years ago, I went to the Rockwell Hall of Fame, and they had a hotel key collection up there that someone had. They don't have it up there anymore. I haven't seen them, but my key collection was bigger than theirs.
Oh, this is Barbara Bulow. Hold on one second. Hey, Barbara. Good. I'm actually right now doing a podcast with Craig. We're doing the STONED Roadie, so you're actually on it right now. But I could call you later, or I could put you on speaker. Yeah. Barbara says hello. Beulah, they called you. Yeah, but I mentioned you already. You have to watch the podcast tonight. It's going to be on YouTube, and everybody's really going to be pumped up to see you in and have you tell your stories. Okay, Barbara? Okay, thanks. All right. Bye-bye. Well, looky here, looky here. Do you ever
I think I went scuba diving once with her. Me and Alan and Gary and her went to Crystal Springs. I think she was with us.
she
No,
she said she said Kathy Collins was bitten by or stung whatever by a man of war or something, and it was she was pretty cut up. It was a pretty you had to do these certifications like in a cave and certain places in order to get your complete certification. You had to pass these tests, so it was pretty challenging. But she said Martha was there, Alan, Kathy, Gary, and I think you. So she can talk more about that when she comes on the show. Okay.
Yeah, I never got. They got certified while I was with Journey and Foreigner before I went down there in 1980. They had got certified, but
Okay.
I already had diving equipment. I was never certified, but I had diving equipment, so I went diving with them.
Okay. Cool. All right. Do you have photos of those?
No, I don't think I
No.
did. No.
Okay. All right. Next question is from Matt Parrell. He's Matt the singer. You know, he said a lot of times you guys say, looky here, looky here. That's what Alan used to say all the time, right?
Yeah.
He said on the One More for the Road album, before the last chorus of Give Me Three Steps, he heard Ronnie say, looky here. Was he mocking Alan, or was it something that they all said?
Oh boy. I don't, you know what? That's a stumper for me. I can't
Okay.
remember if Ronnie used to say it or not. I just
Looky here.
remember Alan saying it because he was so animated when he said it. Looky here, you know, he was so animated, you know. Looky here, you know.
When I was growing up in obviously New Jersey, there was a girl in one of my third grade classes from Arkansas, and she used to say, "Looky, looky, looky," and we would always laugh at her like, "What? Looky, looky, looky!" I never heard of that before, you know. So yeah, it must be definitely something from the South. But yeah, we'll have to go back, and Matt, we'll have to go back and listen to that on One More. Give Me Three Steps from One More for the Road. And we don't know if Ronnie was mocking him or if he said that too. We don't know, but Alan certainly said that all the time. All right. This question's from Mark Fitzgerald. Now he's asking about Alan Walden and Skynyrd's record deal. Apparently, Ronnie, Ed, Gary, and Alan got the writing credits, which were the points or percentage of the album sold. But Alan Walden got the performance credits, which means that every time Freebird was played, Alan got a residual, but the band got nothing. Is that true? And is that what the movie, is that what the song Cry for the Bad Man is about?
I don't really know everything about their contractual obligations or whatever you want to call it. The only thing I remember was that I heard that it cost Peter Rudge $1 million to buy Alan Walden off the rights of Freebird. And then I heard that they also had to pay Al Cooper some money to get out of some obligations that Al Cooper had them signed to stuff that was costing him money, and so was Alan Walden. And I heard that Peter Rudge had to pay Alan Walden $1 million to get out of that deal. And yeah, the song "Cry for the Bad Man" was written about Alan Walden, and it said, you know, it said, when you take my money, babe, and when you hurt my family, it's like walking through the swamp without no shoes. The step on the snake is deadly. Ooh, to cry for the bad man. Yeah. Yeah, that was about Alan Walden. And I can remember the first time that they played the song live, and Alan Walden was actually on the side of this stage listening, and it was kind of funny. I was kind of amused when they were playing that song, and I knew it was for Alan. And I think Ronnie told him that that they wrote the song too. And
Wow.
Alan was kind of grinning when they played the song, so it was kind of humorous. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. It's interesting to know. All right.
But
Thank you.
Alan was grinning because he had $1 million in his pocket, So
Mm, yeah.
plus whatever he made from the song prior to that. So
All right. Thank you. This is from a comment from Joe Hunker. He says, "You remember when somebody stole your gator not too long ago? Your
Yeah, I
gator, right?
remember that.
Well, this guy knows why. He said they took your gator because Kathy and the roadie cruised in it." People still wonder what happened to that gator. All right. This is from Clausem 2203. Great podcast, and Kathy is a great ringleader. Hey, you know what? So is Griff. All right. How is it to work with Ron Eckerman? And what did you think of his book?
Ron Eckerman was great to work with. He was really a professional, man. He started in the business when he was really young, man. He was working with Fleetwood Mac back when I was, he was really young. I mean, God, both of us were in our 20s, and he had been with Fleetwood Mac probably since he was 20. I don't know. It's really young. And yeah, he was very professional. He owned Clear Light Lighting, and Ron was cool, and he wrote the book, Turn It Up, and it's very accurate book. They did the audio portion of the book, and I have one of the original copies of that, which is really cool. And there's still copies of the audio portion and the Turn It Up book. Yeah, it's worth getting. It's good material.
And is that available on Amazon? That book,
Yeah.
Turn It Up. Okay, cool. All right, nice.
The Ron Eckerman Memorial thing, I think.
Okay. All right. All right, next question is from Bill 5 Ash. He says, y'all ever play with the Grateful Dead?
No.
I could have answered that one.
We did a lot of things around them because they were one of Bill Graham's favorite acts, and so was Lynyrd Skynyrd. So there were times when we played right after them or right before, usually after they the week, a few days after they played, we would play, and we heard stories about what happened when they played. They'd put acid in the punch, and everybody was tripping the whole place and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I went to one Dead concert in my life. It's probably the most boring concert I've ever been to. I think I was 18, 19. I just didn't get it. I mean, I love their music. I love the Dead's music, but going to a concert again, no way. It was so boring. I don't know. People look like they just came out of the woodwork. I don't know where all these people came from, these Deadheads, but yeah. I like their music. I listen to their stuff, but concert, no. Mm-mm. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a lot
right.
of jam. It's a lot of jamming. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right. Jeff Kaufman, he said, this is about your soup. Have you made that soup in a while?
Oh my God. Yeah, I made the best version last week.
Tell me about it. What are you doing? What do you mean the best version? How is it different from your other?
Well, you were making fun of me because I was putting the zesty Italian dressing in it. So I thought I would make it without it, and I made it, and it tasted totally different, so I had to add it back into the recipe.
What did
It
you?
is. It doesn't even taste the same without the zesty Italian dressing.
That has like canola oil or soybean oil. It's not good for you.
Oh, I
Uh,
know.
well, you could
I
just
didn't
look at
know it
the
had
little ingredient.
soybean oil in it.
Well, something
Everything's
like
got
that.
soybean oil in it. My God, you can't buy anything that isn't mayonnaise. Now, why do they need to put soybean oil in mayonnaise? I mean, and it's the main ingredient.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like when I buy spaghetti sauce or marinara, I'll only buy the ones with extra virgin olive oil. I'm not going to buy a tomato sauce or spaghetti sauce with canola or soybean oil. There's no way. You know, if I can avoid it, I will. But I don't get it. I don't get it just has a lot of salt in it with that salad dressing. But
Everything's
anyway,
either got corn fructose, or
yeah.
soybean oil, or
Mm.
it's crazy.
All right.
And
So tell me, you took out the salad dressing. It didn't taste good. You put it back in. So what else did you do differently that made it so awesome this time?
you know what? I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't really measure when I do stuff. I put cinnamon in it and different things, and I don't really measure. So I don't know. This seems like this time it was really good. I put a lot of cabbage in it this time.
Okay.
Purple cabbage and I don't know. Something about this time it was really good. I don't know why.
What makes it so spicy where it causes your nose to, like your eyes to water and your nose to run?
The cayenne pepper,
Okay.
the black pepper and the cayenne pepper.
So I remember when I was over there eating that, I was congested and it was like clearing up my sinuses.
Yeah, it's a little
It was very
spicy.
good. Yeah, it was good though. I liked it. You know, you should think about putting it in a jar and selling it as if you don't have anything else to do. But anyway, this guy says, Jeff Kaufman says, word through the grapevine that the special secret ingredients in the Stone Roadie soup are a dash of fear and a pinch of shame. Jeff Kaufman, a dash of fear and a pinch of shame. That's cute. All right. Then Jeff has a question. After after Kathy died, did Alan's girls live with him or did they live with his mom? What
Oh
happened
no,
when
the
he was
girls lived with Alan.
okay?
Might not have been the best idea, but they did.
Because didn't one of Kathy's sisters or a niece or something like that come to stay with them?
Yeah, the niece came and stayed with them, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that didn't turn out very well. From what I
Well, whatever.
That's all right. I know what happened. You know. All right. All right. This question, John Louder, he sent me so many questions and so much stuff. I just picked a couple of the questions out. I'm going to just go right to his questions. John Louder, why was Bob Burns not asked to be part of the Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute tour?
Oh, to put it mildly, he's flaky.
Bob Burns?
Yeah. He just, you know, when you have something like that going on, it's kind of like a three-ring circus, and you kind of try to make it controllable or controlled or controllable. So, you know, you don't want to try to bring things in that are going to be obviously detrimental to the whole thing. And, you know, just having Bob around is just, things get confusing, and chaotic and
Well, didn't he have some kind of like an emotional disability or mental
yeah, he's
disability or
got
something like
emotional
that?
problems. Yeah,
Yeah. Wasn't he like bipolar or something like that? Or I thought I read.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Well, then that makes a big difference. All right. All right. So that's that. That's why they didn't ask him to be part of the Skint tribute tour. And then he said, when Ed King left the band, Craig will hopefully remember that Ed left a nice bass guitar. Reportedly, Leon smashed up that guitar. Is that true? Do you recall that Leon smashed that bass
I
guitar?
remember Leon smashing a guitar. I don't remember, and it somehow he smashed it and it hit somebody, some girl in the face or something like that. But
Yeah.
I don't remember that it was Ed's. Now,
Okay.
I wasn't the guitar roadie at that time, so the guitars weren't my responsibility, so I didn't really pay a lot of attention to the guitars at that time. That probably Chuck Flowers was probably the guitar roadie at that time, so I didn't
Okay.
really pay attention to
All
who
right.
was what.
So what was your position at this time?
I was drum roadie back then.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. All right. Do you remember exactly when Ronnie decided to hire female backing vocalists?
Well, when we did the album, they had females on. They had female vocalists on it. So when we went out and toured, we had to have the female vocalists because we had to have the girls there to do what was on the album. We had to sound like the record, so we needed the girls there. Same way with the horns. We didn't. As soon as they put horns on the record, we had to have horn players.
So were the girls that were on the studio album, were those the Honkettes, or were they different
No,
studio people?
those were black girls. They were. I remember. I used to know. If you'd say the name, I would know who they. I would say yes, that's them. But they were real
Okay.
prominent females that were doing Mary Bly
Okay.
or something like that.
Were
Mary
they somebody called the Honeycuts? Honeycuts or something? Honeycuts?
harmonica. Uh, what was his name? Ed's friend Lee Freeman.
Okay.
Uh, Usually, Lee Freeman played harmonica when we played live. Lee Freeman played harmonica a lot. He was Ed King's friend, but don't remember a lot about that. How many? Yeah, but usually it was Lee Freeman. Now I don't remember if him touring with us. So.
Okay. Also, Skinner used horns in certain songs. For example, "Call Me the Breeze." This guy said when I saw them in '87 and '88, they used a horn section. Do you know where they got those people? Or
Those are the Muscle Shoals Swampers horn section.
okay, okay,
Keys. What is his name? Um, I forget.
okay, cool. All right. Hannah Gruel could talk a little bit about what Kathy Collins was like.
Oh, she was really a nice lady. Kathy was real cool. Yeah, Kathy was good. My first wife and Kathy were good friends, and when we were on the road, they hung out. We lived pretty close to where I lived in Cedar Cove apartments, and where Alan lived. It was only about a half mile away, even if that, maybe even a quarter mile away. It wasn't really far at all. And Kathy would come over because we had a pool at the Cedar Cove Apartments, and they would come over and hang around by the pool and everything with the kids. So, and yeah, Kathy was real cool. She was really, really sweet and nice.
Was she more of a laid back person? Was she like a
Yeah.
talker, kind of quiet? Was she anything about her personality that, you know, that we would?
She was quiet, but yeah, when Sue and I and Chad and Kathy and Alan and Amy and everybody were all together and we were, she was laughing and partying, and we would,
Okay. All right. Chip Cruey, he wants some Mad Hatter stories. Think about something about Leon you could tell us.
Oh my God, there's a million stories about Leon. Jiminy
I
Christmas.
know I should have given you something to think of,
Leon
but I know
Leon's
he
a
was an
character.
instigator.
Leon was, we called him the instigator. He was always instigating something, some kind of something. Yeah, Leon was funny. He always had an entourage. Every show, every city we would go to, he would always go up to Ron Eckerman, want passes for his friends, and Ron said, "Well, what's your friends' names?" And he would have to go up and ask them what their name was, and then he would get some passes for him, and then he would want more passes, and just in case he ran into some more of his friends or whatever. Yeah, Leon was a handful. Yeah.
Did his wife hang out with the other wives, or what was that like?
No, not really.
No?
No. Yeah, they would always want Leon to quit partying and doing stuff, and Leon say, I didn't want to be a rock star to be no choir boy.
Oh, all right. I was suggesting maybe do a podcast just about Leon or just about Steve at some point and just get people to ask questions and, field them out to people who know. Maybe even Leon's son, from what he knows or has pictures or memories, but we want to know. Okay, next question is from Cousin Figel, our cousin. Hey, Cousin Figel. Figel says, I watched a video with Lacey Van Zant. He was talking about Ronnie. And Lacey said, if there is a God, he's a jealous God to take my son so early. When Ronnie was young, he said to him, I'll never live to be 30. And Lacey said, why in the world would you say that? So Cousin Figel wants to know if you have anything more on Lacey that you could share with us.
Oh God, Lacey. Ronnie, when we went to Europe, Ronnie was just insistent that he take Lacey with him and, just show Lacey a good time all over the world and stuff, And, yeah, Lacey was really cool. He was a cool guy. I don't know what else I can
well, where is Lacey from? Was Lacey a Jacksonville native?
Lacey was a truck driver, and from what I understand, Ronnie was born in South Dakota.
Yeah, that's what I
Like
read. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a truck driver, and Ronnie was born in South Dakota, and how they ended up in Jacksonville, I'm not real sure.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know where sister. I don't know where sister was from. That's Lacey's, Ronnie's mother's. Everyone called her sister. Not sure where she was from. But I always heard Ronnie was born in South Dakota.
Craig, what about all these other Van Zants I see on Facebook? There's a Jane, Aunt Jane, there's a Randy. Are these immediate relation to
Well,
Lacey
as far as I
Ronnie?
know, Jimmy Van Zant he didn't go by Van Zant his whole young life. And I don't know when he he was actually a Van Zant. He was EC Lacey's brother's child, and Jimmy was and out born out of an affair that that EC had with another woman, and Aunt Jane is Jimmy's sister. Now, Aunt Jane is actually a Van Zant because she's a legitimate daughter of E.C. Van Zant, but Jimmy is was her half brother.
Okay.
They had the same father but a different mother, but he didn't grow up a Van Zant. I mean,
okay,
didn't take the name Van Zant until later.
okay.
I think that's how the story goes. Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. Interesting, because I see a lot of Van Zants on Facebook, and I know there's Aunt Jane, and I just wasn't sure exactly what her relation was. All right, cool. All right, Brian Schlemmer. Skynyrd played the 1987 Charlie Daniels Band Volunteer Jam.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about that first show and working with the Charlie Daniels Band, especially that historical night, which I believe was the first show they did to begin the tribute tour? He said, I know they had played many shows together in the earlier days, but that show was the first of the new era for them. What do you recall from that show?
I was up here in Ohio, and I got word that Gary and Alan were going to do the 87, yeah, 87.
Yeah, this was the Charlie Daniels Band Volunteer Jam. He's not referring to the 79 one. 87.
Yeah, the 79 one, that was the first time Gary and Alan played together.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
The 87 one, I don't remember that well.
Well, he said it was the first show to begin the tribute tour.
I don't remember.
Okay.
That.
All right. All right. Yeah, what wasn't the 79 show right before the tribute? Okay. So, all right. Levi Darnell. He's contacted me, and he says to me, I really enjoyed your story about going to Alan Collins's house. Kathy, do you have any additional stories from your experience ending the RCB shows in the early 80s? Yes, I do, and they involve Craig.
Oh, yeah.
So I love this. I left a bust on you. So Gene Odom was so cool. He got me backstage and my friends backstage for a couple of passes, but a couple of shows. Well, they were mostly after show, whatever, backstage. So one of the shows, and then for the other shows, I already had bought good seats. I bought like third row seats, and I was up front with all that. But after one of the shows, we met. I talked about this in the podcast. I think podcast 29. Gene told us where the band was staying, and my cousin and I drove down there. It was the Hilton, I guess, in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. We met Gene there. Gene took us on the bus. He took us for a tour of the bus. He gave us a couple of bottles of booze, and he said, "Get the stuff out of here. They have too much booze." So we took it. And then he offered us to go on tour and stay on the bus and travel with them the next day. And of course, I should have said yes. Of course, I said, no, I can't. I have to work the next day. But, I'm sure I would have had to have countered Craig at some point because he was around. So then he took us up to the hotel room, and he opened one of the doors, and Linda Blair was lying on the couch. She had a rose in her teeth. I'll never forget that. She was out of it. I think she was in Gary's room, 100% sure about that. And then we went into another room. A lot of people were there. Craig had to have been there. My cousin was partying. She brought her own. She was partying with probably Craig, but wish I'd taken pictures. But and then Gary had this funny funny glasses on. I had bought a baseball cap, and they all signed it for me. They all signed it. It was really cool. And I still have that. I only regret not using a Sharpie because it's fading a little bit. That hat is still in my closet. And then another time I went to see Rossington Collins Band at the Palladium in New York City. And two of my guy friends were with me, and I was trying to sneak in, using Gene's name. And we managed to go in through one of those side doors. And I was like, I'm a friend of Gene Odom's. I want to get backstage. And who do I encounter but Craig? It had to have been you, because there were two roadies there. It had to have been you. I remember one of them had long hair, and he was trying to hit on me, regardless of the fact that I had two male friends with me. It had to have been you, Craig. Who else would have been there? You're like, well, do you really want to go see the band? And, you're very attractive. And I mean, I felt really uncomfortable. So that is my recollection about seeing Rossington Collins Band shows. When we saw them at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, we were able to stand by the stage, by sort of to the side of the stage. And it was cool to watch them up on stage play. And after the show was over, we were backstage, and they were kind of walking really quickly to their limos. And I had a little envelope with the copies of the actual photos that I took from Alan's house. I made copies of them, and I said, Alan, and I gave him the envelope with the pictures, and he just grabbed them. So, but I never had any more contact with Alan after that, going to his home. That was it, So, but it was truly memorable experiences. And that's it. All right. Next question. This is for you, Craig. It's from Troy Primo. Oh no, we already talked about one. Those are the tapes that Alan's dad had. Okay. Oh, did we talk about that? The tapes that Alan's dad supposedly had. Okay.
Those tapes were under the stairs at Alan's house, and
yeah.
I wasn't around when Alan died, and I have no idea what happened to those tapes.
No.
I would have supposed that Larkin would have went over there and got them, but I would have supposed that Gary Rossington would have known that Alan had those tapes and would have inquired about getting them, but I wasn't. I don't guess I was that far into the loop to know that information. Yeah,
interesting. And then Troy wants to know if you ever bumped into Peter Grant, Led Zeppelin's manager.
No, never did. No.
He said he was not very pleasant, and he had a run-in with Bill Graham. Bill didn't like the Zepp people, and just wanted to know. I
just know that Led Zeppelin were offered the Lynyrd Skynyrd to be an opening act for them. And they flat out refused. They wanted no part of Lynyrd Skynyrd opening for them. I know that.
And what was the reason?
I guess they had heard what they did to the Rolling Stones. I don't know. I mean, they had played with the Who and the Rolling Stones. I mean, those are two of the biggest there are, and they didn't have any trouble with them. I don't think the Led Zeppelin wanted to, step into the ring with them, I guess. I don't know.
They knew that Skynyrd would blow them off the stage.
I heard that I'd have to ask Gene about it, but I had heard that Lynyrd Skynyrd, when they were doing the 1% and the Noble Five and all that, I heard they actually did some Led Zeppelin songs. I don't know for sure, but
oh, really?
Yeah. I couldn't imagine Ronnie doing Led Zeppelin songs, but
No, not at all. Not at all. You know what? We may be the end of our questions here. Let's see if there's anything else. We had a lot here. So one other thing, somebody said to me, because I'm a teacher in a school, what do your students and your coworkers think about you being on the Stone Roadie show? Okay, this is the answer. They don't know.
well, you have told me that you open up your
Yes.
book sometimes and they see your picture on your book and they'll go, Kathy, Miss Kathy, what are you doing on the internet?
Yeah. So I have a big J-Touch, a big screen. It's like a whiteboard. And when I use it a lot, sometimes I'll go into YouTube frequently. And when you go into YouTube, it gives you all these things come up, these channels and things. And on more than one occasion, I've gone to YouTube and boom, my picture's up there for the Stone Roadie. They'll be like, there's Miss Kathy. What are you doing in there? Nothing. I quit changing. They don't need to know. They don't need to know what I do. But yeah, but it's pretty funny. A couple of my coworker friends know because I'm friends with them on Facebook and they see the things. And one of them said to me last week, Kathy, are you a roadie or something for a band? I said, no. I always see you always have these music videos and things up. No. So that's it today.
The secret life of the lovely Kathy
Yeah. So we got all the questions. I hope I mentioned everybody. You know, it's a pleasure. I really do. I like getting messages and emails and friend requests. It's fun. You know, I field them out to make sure that they're all okay and legitimate. But yeah, like I said, you know, I still have the gentleman, George Festo. He wants to come on the Stone Roadie show. He has a really cool experience of having met Alan personally, and while Alan was in the hospital, really funny story. He's a musician, and he has his dad is ill right now, so he's been taking care of his dad. But as soon as he's ready, he's a friend of Mikey Lockout, who was on once before. He's going to come on, and then Barbara Bulow will be on soon. Hopefully, the next time we do a Saturday Night Special show, we can have her on the podcast. And then I know that Griff is probably going to reach out to Larry Joe Lambert, and that would be a really nice thing to have him on. So keep the questions coming, and that's what I like to do. I like to focus on the questions and get answers to what everybody wants to know. All righty.
Cool. So are we ready to wrap this edition of the Stone Roadie show up for this week then, huh?
We are, Greg.
Oh, good. Well, it's been nice to have you back, and it's only been like 7 weeks, but my God, people have been screaming to have you back like you've been gone forever. And it's like, I keep telling them, Kathy's a teacher and she teaches and she tutors and she's got a life of her own. And, especially, during the summer, I'm sure you don't want to spend your Saturdays doing a Stone Roadie show. So we appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and we hope you can join us again here shortly. I'm doing another Saturday night special and appease your fans.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? You guys have me in the song. I'm in for this now. You put my name in the song. I'm on the team. You just have to ask me, Kathy, are you available? I can always do it on a Friday night if you want. I mean, I can do it Saturday morning. Yeah, no, I'm available. I just I think you were away a couple of Saturdays, weren't you? Because you asked me about doing one, and then you were away for a couple of weeks. So
yeah. We've been taking off and doing some stuff. Automotive and I have been doing some road trips and going down to Virginia and Tennessee.
I told you to come out to New Jersey, get on the beach, walk on the boardwalk, go have some really good food, stuff you're never going to have out there in Ohio. There's so much to do out here. This is, you can hike, you can ski, you can do
the
anything out
beach in New Jersey doesn't intrigue me. The water's not
here.
blue enough.
It is blue. Well, it's blue enough for me, honey, as long as
I've
I
been
can.
to the beach in New Jersey. I prefer further south.
Well, if I go further south, but we have other things to do. We have all the good rock clubs, and there's so much to do out here. I know somebody who moved down to Florida, and she's like, "Florida's so great." I said, "All they have is beaches down there," but no, I love it here. There's always things to
They're
do.
up where you're up where those beaches where you were, that's where Jaws was.
No, that was filmed in Long Island, honey. That was Long Island on by the Sound. No, it's beautiful here. Beautiful. I'm just waiting for the weather to get a little warmer. When the water is warmer, I'll start swimming. But right now it's a little cold. But yeah, we love it.
It's cold here. My God, it's the summer was just a few days ago, and it's only like 70 here. It's supposed to be global warming, and it's not summer as far as I'm concerned here.
I
A little bit
told
chilly
Otto.
today.
I told Otto, you guys should come out. And Otto calls the boardwalk the floating carnival or carnival on the water or something like that. That is so funny. Years ago, we had Superstorm Sandy in 2012. The roller coaster, the very, very well-known Jetstar roller coaster on the pier in Seaside Heights picked up and landed right in the water in the ocean. It landed right in the ocean. That picture is iconic. That thing, the roller coaster was right in the ocean until they took it apart. But when I would ride that thing, you would go up to the top and you were just going over, looking right over the ocean. I thought, oh my God, if this car ever goes off the track, I'm going to be in the ocean. And look what happened. The storm picked it up and put it right in the ocean. It was amazing. Really creepy, I should say. So, but anyway, so hope everybody enjoys this podcast, and just, let me know when you want me to come back. I'll make myself available for you. Okay.
I think everybody likes to see you on the Stoned Roadie show.
Definitely. I'm on this song, so like I said, I'm here.
All righty. So I guess we're going to wrap this one up. And we don't know when you'll be back on. Maybe next week, maybe the next week after, maybe the week after. But she'll be back.
I will. Call me. Tell me to come on. I will.
So, all righty then. We're gonna call this a wrap for podcast 81, and I'm gonna close this up, and I'm gonna send this down to Griff, and he's gonna add the intro song and the exit song, and then he'll send it back to me, and I'll post it on Facebook and or YouTube, and then y'all can like it and like and share, and if this is your first visit to the Stone Roadie Show, please subscribe. And if you're watching this on Facebook, find your way over to YouTube and subscribe for us, because we would like to make this our main source of the funds that we're going to contribute to the Forgotten Survivors. We just started this my PO box thing for people that are just insistent to help out a little more, and we sure do appreciate it. We got $900 extra over here in the last couple weeks, so we can send people, and that's gonna, we're out of that, we're gonna be able to send a couple of the survivors $500 each, so that 500 ain't a lot when you're dealing with hospital bills, but $500 ain't chump change to nobody, so we really appreciate it, and we're gonna call that a wrap for podcast 81. So There we go with happy trails to you until we meet again, and happy trails to you, and
Sing it.
good Lord take a liking to you. And
Wait a minute. Where's the song? Happy trails.
well,
to
that
you.
that I have to send that to Griffin, then he adds it to the
No,
end.
but you're supposed to sing it first. Come on, sing it
I
first and you
just
can add
did.
it.
Happy trails to
There you go. There you go.
until we
Till we
meet
meet
again. Happy trails to you, and may the good Lord take a liking to you. And
That's
that
what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear the live
podcast
one.
number 81. Until the next time on the Stoned Roadie Show, this has been your host, Craig Reed, and my occasional co-host, the lovely Miss Kathy GODSEY, and we're out of here. See you later, alligator at the Wild Crocodile. Bye.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep token until then.